be your host today. Thank you so much for your registration and interest in our workshop, Cardboard Construction and Mechanisms. We hope you enjoyed this session today.
Is that even though we only have about an hour to work together, hopefully after this workshop, you'll be inspired to continue constructing and building with cardboard at home with your family and friends. You have all the parts you need to continue the exploration. As I said again, Omar and Mahmoud, if people have questions in the chat, it's hard for me to see in the presentation, so just jump in and interrupt. I'm really happy to be, have this be again an interactive place.
Okay, very well.
Thank you. So I just wanted to spend a couple minutes in the beginning talking about this idea of tinkering as a way to learn. And so when I talk about tinkering, to me, this is an approach to learning that values people's curiosity, ideas, and experiments as a way towards understanding about a topic, about a material, about art, science, engineering. So that means for this workshop, it isn't about me just telling you how to do the project. I really want to do this together and learn from you as well. I hope that you will come up with some questions or ideas that I haven't thought of and that are new for me as well. Couple things that I think are important about how tinkerers might approach a project like this. So tinkerers use everyday materials and tools like cardboard and cardboard boxes in new and unfamiliar ways. So for me, one of the best things in the world is seeing a giant box that a stove or refrigerator comes in, because there's so many possibilities for what we can make and turn that into. As well, tinkerers use mistakes, problems, and wrong directions as opportunities, and it's a good thing. We're going to be trying some ways of building that might be new for you. It might be something that you've never done before, and things might not go exactly according to plan. That's okay. That's part of the process of learning. And I hope that if something doesn't work as you expected, you can say, hey, Ryan, this isn't working the way I thought, or write in the chat, and we can use that as a way to develop our ideas and skills about working with cardboard. And finally, tinkerers work together and we get an idea from a wide variety of sources to inspire new projects. So I hope that after this workshop, you will share your ideas, share your questions, and we can continue to build on the ideas that we started working with during this workshop. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Great. And if you have any questions, feel free to jump in and share them either live or in the chat. But I wanted just to get started by sharing the materials that we're going to be using today. And I'm going to sort of turn my camera down so that you can see my hands and my workspace. If you all want to, you can do the same as well. So today we're going to be working with cardboard construction. And so hopefully you have some of these materials available to you, but we're going to be using not just cardboard. I'll talk a little bit about the cardboard we're going to be using. We also need some way to cut and shape the cardboard. So some ways you can do that is you can use scissors. I think I'm going to be using scissors as the main way to shape the cardboard into different pieces. If you have a little bit more experience or a little bit more skill with these sorts of projects, you can also use a utility knife. A box cutter is a tool that people sometimes use to cut and shape cardboard. If you don't have these tools with you, one common material around the house that I like to use is just a regular butter knife. Actually, these knives work really well to cut the cardboard. So if you don't have scissors or a utility knife around, oops, sorry, and I think I lost my video. Okay, great. If you don't have scissors or a utility knife around, you can use a butter knife, and that works really well. And it's a super safe way to cut cardboard. Oh, thanks for spotlighting. You can make some nice shapes. As well, we need some way to attach the cardboard together. Today for the workshop, we're mostly just going to be using tape. So tape is a really nice way to connect, and we'll talk a bit about some ways that we can use tape as a connection. I do also just want to point out that if you have it, you can also use a hot glue gun. So I also sometimes like to use a hot glue gun as a way to attach pieces of cardboard together. As well, that is, you know, it maybe requires having a parent around or an adult to use it together. But this is a really nice tool to use with cardboard construction. Finally, I have some small things around. So later on, we'll be using these paper brads. So if you can find these around your house, these are a really nice way to connect two pieces of cardboard together and allow for some movement. And also, if you have string, wire, straws, I love to use googly eyes in my project. I like to use markers. Anything that you can add some personality to the project is fun as well. So does anybody have any questions about the materials that we're going to be using for the workshop today? Okay, cool. And maybe just virtually, if you're here in the room with me, can you just virtually give a thumbs up or write in the chat if you have those materials ready to go? I see Lamia has it ready to go, and oh, nice. Emmy has it ready to go. Nice, cool. So so great. Yeah, awesome. I see some people working. And if you want, you can keep your camera on and just show your workspace, and that way it can be a good way to share ideas. So to start, I like to start with this sort of cardboard. This is corrugated cardboard. And I think it is a really nice thing just in the beginning to start to look at the cardboard and see what you notice about the part that that you have. And yeah, I see Emmy and the group over there. You have a cardboard box. Yeah, maybe you can grab a knife or a scissors and start cutting that apart so that everyone can have a piece of cardboard for themselves to work with. If you're looking at your cardboard, maybe you can write in the chat or say out loud like some things that you notice about this this material. You might notice some wear and tear. Maybe there's the box got damaged a bit in transit. Yeah, someone, Lemia notices there are lines. Do you mean these kind of like hard to see lines that are underneath the paper? Yeah, cool. Okay, great. So thanks. Yeah, this is actually the first thing that I wanted to talk about as something that's really important for building with cardboard. These are, this is the corrugation. It's this little wavy piece of paper that's inside of the cardboard. And that's something that is really important to the way we build. So one thing that I'd like to encourage us all to do just to get started is cut, if you have a square cardboard, cut one piece, a strip along the line, and then cut another strip in the other direction, horizontally. So we can have two pieces, one that's kind of going vertical, like this, and one that we're going to cut from the other side that's kind of going horizontal so that the lines are with the paper. Does that make sense? So you can have two pieces, one with the lines, kind of the wavy lines. Maybe I'll draw with my pencil just to make it a little easier to see. One with the little wavy lines going short ways along the cut, and another one with the lines going long ways along the cut. So they're kind of these two different pieces of paper, pieces of cardboard. And so these two pieces have really different properties, and we can use those in our projects. So you can see this piece with the short lines. This one you can bend and fold. It's not very stable if I try to make it stand up straight. Oops, let me see if I can make my screen here. Great, so it's not very stable. If I tried to rest something on top of it, it sort of folds and bends really easily. But it is really cool. Like if you sort of bend that and fold that with your hands, you can make an arch, you can make a circle. So this is a piece that you can use to have something that's flexible and bendable in your cardboard creations. This other piece with the lines going straight up and down, this one's really solid. Like you can see, like I can put a little bit of weight on it with my hand and it doesn't bend in the same way. It's also pretty strong this side, like it's a little bit not so hard to bend, maybe if it was a little bit bigger. And you can see that like it's not so easy to fold and to bend and to make this into a curve. Like I can start to do that, but it's a little bit more challenging. Do other people have that? I'm not sure if anyone has their cameras on, but that might be the first thing to try, is just to notice the difference between the piece with the corrugation short ways and the piece with the corrugation long ways. So we can use that when we're building structures. We can use these properties of the cardboard. Any questions about that? Okay, cool. So, yeah, do you see, also, if there are, I mean, sometimes in translation, there are words that that I might say that are technical or that are specific about the material. So also, if there's some questions about translation and vocabulary, please let me know that as well, because I want to, again, make this as easy and accessible for everyone to work as possible. So for the next kind of activity, just to kind of warm up with building with cardboard, I wanted to build a cardboard construction set. So these are some pieces that I've made, and I'd like to encourage us all to build our own cardboard construction set. And so this is a tool that we can use to build and to play with the cardboard pieces, to make different sort of structures, and maybe start to think about characters and stories that we can tell using the cardboard. So to do this, you want to take your piece of cardboard, and we're just going to start to cut it into different shapes. So you can start to make squares or rectangles. You could start to make some triangles. We can make some unusual shapes that are totally random, kind of blobs that will make an unusual part of the, you know, a little ghost or a little, I'm not sure what this is, a little blob shape. As well, another thing that you might do as we're working on our parts for our construction set, you could use something that's a circle. So I'm going to use my piece of tape, and you can trace in the middle of that tape. I'm going to go to the edge of here. You can trace in the middle and start to make a shape. So I just traced out this circle shape. And so I'm going to cut out this circle so that I have that piece as well. What kind of shapes are you all making? You can show on your screen or write in the chat what kind of shapes. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So Even if you have some scrap pieces, those ones are really nice. You can have a regular construction set. You can have a weird So to start to put these pieces together, oops, hopefully that's working okay. To start to put these pieces together, all you need to do is start to make some small notches or small triangles in the corner of these spaces. So you can kind of see just with my scissors, I'm cutting some small notches or triangles into these pieces of paper, pieces of cardboard. They can be regular, they can be a little bit unusual. So you can start to make some cardboard triangles or little notches into your paper. And yeah, I see Miriam and crew over there are getting started. So let's just spend some time. We can start making some little shapes into these pieces. And this is kind of the simplest attachment method for two pieces of cardboard. So this is a way without tape, without hot glue, with any, just using cardboard and scissors that you can sort of put these two pieces together. And now you have a new shape. You have something new. Again, this is just two pieces, but once you start to have more and more, you can build kind of a 3D sculpture using these cardboard pieces. Sometimes, like this one, you can see I'm just sort of balancing it on a single point right here. So that's also something that you can experiment with your cardboard piece. Like once you have something like this, what is a way that it can start to balance? And what are ways that you can start to put new pieces in there? I'm going to try to attach my curved piece in here. And again, I'm just going to make a little notch or a little triangle, just like this. And then you can curve that into the notched piece. And again, like, I mean, I sometimes also like to imagine, I don't know, maybe this little Brad is the same size as a person, and I can put some people underneath my sculpture here and sort of imagine what would this be like if it was a giant piece of art in the middle of the city. What would this sculpture be like if you saw this and it was 10 times taller than you were? How are people doing? I see at least one video on of some tinkerers building with us. Maybe I'll unpin my spotlight for now and go to the grid view and we can see, yeah, if anyone else wants to turn on your camera or show what you're working on, I'd love to see what you're trying. And we'll do this construction piece for about 5 minutes or so we can be working on our projects, and then we'll go to another element or something else to add. But yeah, let's build with these for a while. And if you have questions or ideas about something that you'd like to try or that you're wondering about, you can jump in or also yeah, put that in the chat as well. Another, oh yeah, so feel free to jump in, or if you have something to write in the chat, you can do that as well. And yeah, and you can start to see like now mine is not stable anymore. And this can be something that you can sort of experiment with too. Like with mine, it's starting to fall over, like it's a giant sculpture, but it's starting to fall over in one direction. And so this is also part of the tinkering process to get materials feedback. So if I notice that now it's actually standing up, but before I was noticing it was always falling in this same direction. So I can solve that in a couple different ways. I could try to put a bit of weight here on one side so that it leans this way. Or I could put a bit of, an extra piece on this side to sort of give it some extra stability.
Excuse me, there's a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From yeah, she's saying my cardboard is hard to cut. It has two layers of corrugations.
Yeah, so it's something that you'll really notice, especially when you start working with cardboard more and more. You'll notice that not all cardboard is created equally. Sometimes it's one layer of corrugation. Sometimes it's two layers of corrugation. I have some behind me that's kind of really soft and squishy. If your cardboard, like Lamea, is a little bit hard to cut, again, we can experiment with techniques. I might try to use something like this knife. And so like if you can cut a bit on one side and then turn it over and cut a bit on the other side, like that could be a way that you start the curve. You also can try, again, like, sometimes depending on your tools, sometimes a scissors are a little bit too not strong enough to cut. So again, with the knife, using a sawing motion can sometimes help. And as well, like you might experiment with, again, like what if you cut it with the corrugation versus against the corrugation, how that works for yours. But yeah, I think that's really important to point out, that once we start working with cardboard, it's going to be totally different depending on the quality. And I think I saw a blog post that someone wrote that was actually sometimes on the cardboard box, you can look and see the weight, the material, the quality. I don't have anyone with me right now, but you might want to look at, if you have a cardboard box that was part of a shipping container, you might be able to find a little key on there that shows how it works and what's the quality of the cardboard. Does that help at all, Lamea, in terms of, are you able to find a strategy to cut through that extra thick part of cardboard? Okay, cool. Awesome. Great. And yeah, and also, I know for the Maker Faire, we have social media hashtags and ways of sharing online. So that could be another way. If you come up with a technique or a way of working that that you want to share, I think that would also be something that could be really nice to share with the group. So just one more thing for these construction sets. And again, this is just a starting point. We're going to move on to a second project, but hopefully this is something you can keep working on. One thing that I like to do with my construction set, once I have some of these pieces, is add some colorful cardboard. Oh, nice. Awesome. I see Miriam, Tota, and oh, awesome. Can we see that? You're right there where I am. They are already decorating their piece, their cardboard construction set, with some characters or faces. So I think this can be the next something that's really fun to do as part of your project, to start to think about how to personalize this set. So you can add faces, you can add, like I was saying before, add googly eyes to these pieces and start to make some characters, or draw your own eyes, as our friends were doing. As well, just one thing I was trying is adding some thin cardboard to the piece, just to get a little bit of color and colorfulness onto the set. And so for me, this is adding a bit of strength, and it's also adding some, again, if I'm thinking about this as a giant sculpture in the middle of a city, I think it could be interesting to think about what, how to add color and how to make this a bit more colorful. So before we move on to the next element in our workshop, I'm wondering if other people have any comments or questions or things that they want to share about what they're working on and how they're building with cardboard at home. Okay, cool. Well, so if you, oh, I see. Okay, great. Yeah. So Suzanne says I think what you're saying, the tinkering is working well, but the internet connection is not so good. So no worries. That's okay. Also, part of the tinkering process is documenting what we're working on. So you can always take some photos of what you're working on, even if it's an in-progress project, and then you can share that with us. And I think we'll all learn and be really happy to see what you're experimenting with and working on. The next thing that I'd like to share, just as a way to build some mechanisms, is working on building a cardboard house with some mechanisms. And so this will be the second project that we work on together. And this cardboard house is a way to work on hinges. So you can start to think about something that moves, like on mine, this door of my house moves. And as well, we're going to go a little bit advanced and get some mechanisms going on our machine. So to think about, what if you had a mechanism that you could move one part of your cardboard machine, and like this one, it's a little bit hard to see, it's a little bit blurry, but this is actually making a little cat jump upside down outside of my house. So let's work on this together. And again, this is just a starting point. I made a house because it's sort of a, let's say, a good base for these projects. But if you want to make an animal or a spaceship or a submarine, that's really cool as well. So I think Dahlia had their hand up before. Did you have a question, Dahlia? Okay, no worries. If you do have a question, just let us know. So, so to start building our house with our mechanism house, if you will, you'll want to get another long piece of cardboard. It doesn't have to be this big, but I'm going to make mine kind of a little kind of going up and down. And that's going to help me build a house. So now I can sort of fold the cardboard, and I'm going to try to turn this piece into a little square or a little rectangle. And basically I'm using now the folds, I'm using the corrugation as a way to build the house and turn it into kind of a rectangle. You can kind of see. It's a little bit funny. I can always trim it if it's not going exactly the way I want. I can always trim it. I can always move it, you know, a little bit different. But for me, I don't need a house that's totally square. I can have a house that's a bit of a funny shape. It just adds a little bit more character to the design. And so if you're happy with this, you can tape the pieces together and make a square. Oh, and I see our friends with the video already have this going. So one thing I learned from a cardboard expert, Gaver Tully, who taught me almost everything I need to know about cardboard. He taught me that when you want to tape two pieces of cardboard together, it's really helpful to do it one at a time. So I'm gonna just put a piece of tape on one side of my house, leaving a little bit of an edge. And what that does is allows me to kind of press this down and really solidly put the tape on the piece of cardboard. Then I can fold this together, line it up, and just fold the second piece down. So now I have a pretty strong connection for my house here. It's still a little bit funny with the door, but that's okay. If it's not totally strong, you can always add one more piece after it's connected together. And since I'm a tinkerer here, I don't care if it's exactly perfect, but if you want, you can sort of cut the edges, trim it, make it work exactly according to plan. Once I have this shape, I can use my trusty knife to start to cut a door. So I'm going to make a door for my house. Door here. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's kind of a nice entryway into the house. I can also use the knife. You can see if you can cut through and make a window in here. So we can make a couple windows into the house. You can, again, it doesn't have to be a house. It can be a spaceship. It can be a submarine. It can be a, I don't know, what else? People can write in the chat if they're working on something else using cardboard. A transformer. Could be half house, half giraffe. I think it's kind of fun. I'm going to make this sort of a window on one side. I'm going to do a window on the other side. And again, I'm just kind of using this butter knife as a saw. This works pretty well. It's not, it's not precise, but it gives us a bit of a window, and then we can work out the details later. How's that going for y'all? This is now kind of a 3D structure. Yeah, how's it working for you, Marian? You can feel it's pretty strong here. I'm gonna build a roof also for my house. And one way that I like to do that I think looks kind of cool is I'm just gonna peel off, if it's possible. Sometimes it's a little bit hard, but you can try to peel off one of the layers of cardboard, one of the layers of corrugation. And that's a really nice way to sort of make a kind of a realistic looking roof. It's not the easiest thing on all pieces of cardboard, but you can also make just a piece. On this one, I spent a little more time, so I got a really nice looking roof on there. Cool. So how are people doing with their 3D cardboard structures? All right. Well, also, if you're watching this on delay, you can always pause and kind of get up and build to this point. But I want to make sure we have enough time to share just a couple different mechanisms that we can use as part of this project. And again, these can be things that you use for your house. These can be things that you use for your cardboard building set. These are just some starting point techniques that you can use for cardboard movement and cardboard construction. So the first one is a hinge, and that's basically taking two pieces of cardboard and taping them together so that they can bend or fold. So basically, you just want to take two pieces that are roughly the same. You can grab one piece of tape and then connect those two pieces together. And basically, this is the starting point to have a hinge, something like a book, something that can bend, something that you can use in your project to start to add a bit of motion or to start to add a little bit of ability to play with the cardboard mechanism. You can also try to do this not with two pieces, but just with one piece by slightly cutting, scoring the cardboard, not moving all the way through. But if you just make a little half line in here, you can do sort of the same piece with the cardboard and have something that can move and something that can bend. So I'm going to use this hinge mechanism as part of the door of my house. So again, this can be part of the door of your house, but you can also use this hinge mechanism for the mouth of an animal. It could be the wings of an airplane, kind of whatever you want to add some motion to your project. A hinge is a great way to start. So I saved this piece, that's the piece of the door. It's about the same, let's say, dimension as this door. And basically we can open and close that so that we can have a moving door as part of our house. So again, the way to do that is to take your door. You can add a little bit of tape. And again, like I said in the beginning, there's not just one right way to do this. I wish I could see everyone's project so that I can know a bit, but I can imagine that out there in the internet world, there are so many different ways of, working with these elements and working with these hinges. So I'm just going to basically add tape to one side of this door. And then I'm going to put this actually on the inside of the door. I'm going to make a door that opens in and just kind of tape that on like this. And so now I have a door that I can open in. I can bend it to open out. And so now I have a moving part of my house. It's really simple. This is kind of the simplest moving element in your house, to have a door that can open and close. But once you have this part of your project, you can start to make shutters. You can start to have trees that move. You can start to use all different sorts of things using this hinge. Oh yeah, how's it going, Ahmed? Are you there? Let us know. I'd love to see what people are working on if you are there following along with me.
I think it is by mistake.
No worries.
Okay.
Cool. So this is one moving element, one mechanism, this hinge mechanism that we can add to our house. And then the last mechanism that I want to make before we kind of open it up for you to build and work on your own is this idea of a linkage or a lever. So I made this one with a, you can see it's a little lizard that's hanging down. So this is a little lizard that's hanging down. And when I move it up and down, this part here goes in an arc and moves side to side. So basically I can start to take one motion, an up and down motion, and turn that into really what is a rotational motion. We're only going part of this circle, but if we could trace the path of this lizard, you can start to kind of see it's making an arc all the way down here. So to build this, you need a couple of different things. We need one more piece of cardboard, kind of a big piece. So I'm gonna cut one more piece here. So I'm gonna use this piece of cardboard. Then you want to have 2 strips of cardboard that are sort of using the corrugation long ways. So 2 pieces that have the corrugation going long ways. And again, if you're building with us and you're still on the house or still on the construction piece, that's totally fine. I just wanted to show this as one more building block, one more thing that you can use as part of your cardboard construction. So we have one piece this way up. We have 2 small strips with the corrugation going lengthwise up and down. And then I'm just going to take one small strip. And again, this project is going to use the thing I mentioned in the beginning. I'm going to have one more strip here that has the corrugation going up and down so that I can move and bend this. And for this project, I'm going to use my little, clean up a little bit here. I'm going to use my little paper fasteners. So these are these little brads. If you don't have these paper fasteners, you can try a wire, you can try a bent paper clip. I've seen people use a zip tie. Again, this is part of the tinkering process where you can really experiment and make this your own. So to start, I'm just going to attach these 2 pieces together with one of these paper fasteners that goes through. You can try to poke it. It has kind of a, what's the word? It has kind of a pointy edge. So you should be able to start to poke this paper fastener through one side. But you can also use a screw or a pencil and kind of start the hole, which might make it a little bit easier to get this piece going. And then once you have this little linkage piece, you can just bend these 2 pieces of the brad and make it so that it can move. And it's kind of like an elbow or a knee. I mean, maybe with Miriam and Tota and Basil, you guys can already start to imagine if this was a creature. Is this an arm? Is this a leg? You know, what part of the creature could this mechanism be? So now I'm gonna, oh yeah, what do you think?
It could be the arm of a praying mantis.
Oh yeah. Cool. Oh, I lost your video. Oh, maybe, hopefully it's not me.
It could also be, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Can you?
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I think also if you think about different animals, it could be really interesting to look up a praying mantis or a frog or a giraffe and, you know, a crane, and try to see like what's the size of the different parts of the leg, how are they connected, what range of motion do they have. You know, there's something that can be really interesting with these cardboard projects, that you can start to imitate nature or have some natural inspiration as part of this. So the next piece that I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this to the piece of cardboard. And again, you can sort of do this in many different placements. You can experiment with moving it closer to the elbow or further away. I'm just going to try to do mine sort of in the middle. I'm going to poke a hole using my pencil and poke a hole all the way through. I'm going to attach this brad through both the linkage element and also the cardboard behind. And so now this can move on here. So this is already sort of a motion, but we're not really getting that elbow mechanism because there's nothing that's sort of constraining the part. There's nothing that's making it move in a certain way. And so then I need to add this last part, which is this little curved piece, the little strip with the corrugation going up and down. So basically, I'm just going to make a little belt here. It's kind of hard to see with both my hands, but basically this belt is going to make the linkage move in a certain way. I don't know. This almost starts to remind me of a tongue of a frog or something like that. So I'm just going to take this piece and tape down both sides, and that's going to limit the movement of my linkage. How are people doing? I can't see your projects, but I'm curious to know what's going on with your projects. Yeah, this is looking cool. I mean, I don't know. I'm speaking about biomimicry. I'm already thinking this reminds me of the tongue of a frog or something like that. So we have about 10 minutes left, I think. Is that right, Omar?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we just have about 10 minutes left. So I'm just going to keep working on these linkages. If you want, you can work on your house, adding linkages and hinges. You can add some of these moving parts to the construction set. Or I'm not sure if this is what there's some interest with our video tinkerers there, but we can also start to think about using this linkage to create a character. And like I said, I'm already thinking with mine, this feels like a tongue. So I'm just going to cut out. I got also this thin cardboard. Oops, I see someone has a very cool. Awesome. I have this kind of red paper that was from I think most of my thin cardboard actually comes from chocolate boxes. I think I mostly eat a lot of chocolate, which is how I get a lot of my tinkering supplies. But I'm going to put a little tongue, a little frog tongue on my linkage to kind of move up and down. And then I'm going to start to think about, like, how can I make a character? I can use hinges like we did before. I can use the corrugation. So I might want to, use my corrugation to make a face. I think I'm going to do that and then add some linkages. I'm just kind of making this up now as I go along. Hopefully you're also doing that. Hopefully you're also now in a place where you can sort of just experiment a bit with the cardboard. So I'm going to try to add a bit of a face here to see what happens. I'm going to use this curved cardboard as a little bit of a face. We'll see how this works out. If you have been working with us and you're able to turn your camera on so we can check out what you're working on, I'd love to see. I'm also adding a bit of tape here, so we can add some tape. And then, let's see, I think I need to cut a little bit of the cardboard to give me a better range of motion on here. So now my little lever can go back and forth. How many of you already build with cardboard at home? Is this something that you're already doing a bit? I know when I was a kid, that was one of my favorite things. And as an adult, it's still one of my favorite things. So now I kind of have this little tongue mechanism. And I'm gonna, again, start to use some of the ideas that we were working on before. So I'm gonna now make these little notches in here. So I'm gonna make a little bit of these little notches in here so I can start to attach some pieces together. And I think I want to make some squares on here. So I'm going to try to put some square or some circles, I mean, on mine. Let's see what happens here. So now it's definitely some sort of a creature that I'm working on. Still has the tongue. And then for me, I'm going to add these googly eyes on here, and then we'll see if I can make a little, I don't know what this is, a frog or a little bug or something like that. So I have a bunch of googly eyes that I always keep within arm's length. And I'm just gonna take two, these are recycled googly eyes, and I'm gonna put those on. While I'm doing that, Miriam and Tota and Bezel, can you show what you all were working on?
Well, we're not done yet, but
That's okay.
I'm on this. I haven't decided what it's gonna be yet,
Uh-huh.
but I think it's going well so far.
That's cool. I really like the geometric like structure of it, and it feels like, I mean, it feels like it's pretty solid, right? I mean, it feels like you have kind of a strong shape there. So I think that's kind of a nice thing to think about, like when you're designing challenges for yourself, how strong can you make it? How tall can you make it? How wobbly can you make it? Like these are all things that you can be working on. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Do you have any other projects that your siblings are working on there?
Besu is my brother, and Mariam's our friends.
Okay. Is there any other projects that y'all are?
Mariam?
It's like a fan because it's really hot in here.
Oh, nice. So that could be a really interesting thing. I mean, I don't know, you know, probably we need more time, but it could be really interesting to have a linkage that then moved like a fan. You know, maybe you could be on one side of the room and you could fan your sister or your friend. I really like that idea of building a part and then making it move or building something with that. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing. And I like the watermelon on there. Lamia made a moving part like a snake's tongue. Do you have a camera, Lamia? Can we see what you're working on there? If not, it's okay, but I definitely would love also to see some photos on our Instagram, yeah, or on our Twitter. I'm not sure what we're using the most for Maker Faire Cairo, but it'd be really interesting. Oh, cool. Let's see. Oh, nice. Oh, beautiful motion. Wow, really cool. Thanks for sharing. I really like how the tongue sort of goes behind the cardboard almost and then comes back. I mean, it really feels like it's a surprise. I mean, you could, I think, even add a little extra character, and then you're really
Yes.
getting
I'm
the
going
tongue
to
going
draw
on.
the head and the eyes in here.
Wow. Really cool. Beautiful. Is anyone else? We have just a couple more minutes left. I want to share a few more ideas, but is there anyone else who would mind to turn on your video and show what you've been working on if you've been building along with us? Okay. That's okay. If not two, I'd love to see, we have a whole nother day of Maker Faire, right, Omar?
I just hoped that everyone was doing what you were doing. I hope they enjoyed this. Is that your link?
Yeah, so I just wanted to share before I run off, I wanted to share just one more thing about these cardboard constructions. One of the elements of tinkering projects that I think are really important is that they have a low threshold, so they're easy to get started. So you can see with this cardboard project, we all could just get going with something in 5 minutes, make a little project. These projects also have what Seymour Papert and others called wide walls, which means if we all start from the same cardboard box, we're all going to make something completely different because we're not following a step-by-step direction. We're building and following the ideas. So we have a fan, we have a geometric structure, we have a snake's tongue, we have a house. I'm sure the people with the videos off have all kinds of other things as well. But also these projects have what we call a high ceiling, which means that you can take building with cardboard and go in crazy directions. So I just wanted to share just real quickly a couple of my favorite high ceiling examples of cardboard artists. There's a lot of artists that, there's a lot of, now you can see my messy desktop. There's a lot of artists that
we all have that.
Yes, there's a lot of artists that use cardboard in their work. And I always like to look at them, not because I can make something like that, but just to get some ideas about what I might want to do next. So I put links in the blog post, but an artist I love is called Zamoon, and he makes musical cardboard constructions. So these are all motors that move wires around this cardboard installation, making crazy soundscapes. There's another artist called Chris Gilmore who builds giant cardboard trucks and bikes and makes them look really realistic. If realism isn't your thing, a collaborator that we worked with is called the Cardboard Institute of Technology, and they make fantastical cardboard structures. Some people, like we were talking about earlier, like an artist called Laurence Valeres, she makes lifelike structures. So she gets inspired by nature objects. People make cardboard structures that are the size of a room. And also play with the techniques of cardboard. So Anna Serrano and Ann Weber, I like their work as well because they start with a cardboard box and turn it into something totally different. You might not even realize that these started with the same cardboard boxes that we do. If you start looking online, you'll see so many other makers and artists and tinkerers working with cardboard that can inspire our next projects. I also put my contact info here. I'd also love to see what kind of projects you're working on after this. So feel free to get in touch either by email or on Twitter. And I would love to continue the project. 1 hour is just a really short time to be working with cardboard and building together. But I hope that this gave you some ideas to start taking the projects a bit further.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Miriam and Toto. Wow, someone upside down. Thanks so much.
Does anyone have
Thank
any
you
questions?
so much, Ryan.
For Ryan?
Yeah, thanks. Nice to meet you.
This is really, really fun.
Good. I hope you keep building with cardboard and share share what you worked on. Share the next steps.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So bye,
Okay,
everyone.
now-
Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the rest of Maker Faire. I wish I was there, but hopefully we'll meet again in person in Cairo or somewhere else at another Maker Faire
Yeah, we
around the
hope
world.
that. We
That'd be
hope
great.
that. We hope to meet all of you. And unfortunately, we have reached this end of entertaining workshop. So thanks to our speaker and attendees. Goodbye, everyone.
Great. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.